So welcome once again to this skill number 4 of our basic integration course of 5 skills. Without wasting any more time, as we already have our resource person, Sister Michelle, and we have the organizing team here. As you can see, Sister Rekha and Mrs. Alzira is also here. We shall begin with a prayer.
Almighty God, we thank you and we praise you for the gift of this beautiful day. Thank you for the countless blessings of good health and sound mind. Thank you for this time of learning and growing. Thank you for the gifts, speech, the ability to communicate. We communicate through our body, senses, and through our whole person. Today, as we are going to learn about tips on public speaking, help us, O God, to listen attentively to the session of Sister Michelle. May we learn to speak and communicate well. Help us to be good leaders and make a difference in the world.
Public speaking is one of the most of communication. It is traditionally meant the act of speaking face to face to a live audience. It is a technique that turns nervous beginners into confident professionals who communicate with assuredness. Today we will learn some tips on public speaking. Today we have in Sister Patricia Mathias, who will be the leader of this session. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Patricia, who is a multifaceted, talented personality. She desires to be a teacher, whom students will always serve as a guide and mentor. She has done a master's in science communication at Bangalore University and also NET National Eligibility Test qualified as assistant professor in mass communications and journalism. She is a registrar and lecturer at NISCOT, Delhi. She is currently pursuing her PhD in journalism and mass communication at Sharda University, NCR, Delhi. She is a very creative, good at management, organizing programs in colleges, and has great network skills. She has anchored various programs for NISCOT Productions and voiceovers for Inner Voice radios. Photographer, a blogger, writer, and an actor. She is also a producer for song albums with Pauline Publications and Audio. She has addressed many talks to the youth on critical mass consumption, social media, its use and its misuse, abuses, and various other related topics. Today we have an opportunity to listen to 5 various tips on public speaking from the perspective. Sister Mathias. She will tell us about herself and her comments. Please welcome Sister Mathias. Over to you, Sister. We are all eager to hear you.
Dear young friends, I'm so happy that since the past time, we have been having our own sisters talk to you. And I am proud to tell you about Sister Michelle. Already you have heard so much about her, and I'm so happy that we have Sister Michelle with us, and she has not only been speaking to outsiders, she has even been helping our sisters in getting to know more about communication skills. So we are happy, and thank you, dear Alzira, for very comprehensively and beautifully introducing our sister to everyone else. So the floor is yours. dear Michelle.
Good evening to you. And the topic that we are going to do is public speaking. So I will be using a PowerPoint presentation. So how many of you have already done some sort of public speaking?
I have done it before.
Who's that? Say your name, introduce yourself and then say.
Christian D'Souza. I have done it before.
Yes, Chrisanne. Okay, wonderful. So what is your experience at public speaking?
Well, in my school, a lot of times I used to compare a lot of competitions and a lot of other stuff in my school, and I trained by the principal along with many others. So
Wonderful.
Yes, so we've had a lot of experiences that way.
Anybody else who has done speaking other than? Okay. How many of you have given speeches in school? Elocution speeches. Anybody?
Jacinta has raised her hand.
Jacinta, yes, Jacinta, Annalise. Elocution speeches are equal to public. You have to go there. You might be participating in a competition or whatever. You have an audience, right? Yes. So what exactly is speaking? Is it speaking to a friend, to an audience?
Audience.
To an audience.
Wonderful. So that's as simple as that. There's no big logic with public speaking. It's speaking to an audience. So with that, we start our session. Is the screen visible? Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. So John Dolman says this beautiful sentence, okay, in the book titled Handbook of Public Speaking. He writes that public speaking, like theater performances, is not a convention of life, but life itself. A natural function of life, a real human being in a real communication with neighbors. And the best is when it is the most realistic. What does this complicated sentence mean? It simply means that you are at best in public speaking when you're realistic, when you're very natural, as simple as that. Being very natural public speaking is very important, okay? It is a process or act of performing a presence focused around an individual, directly speaking to a live audience in a deliberate manner in order to influence or entertain them, okay? So when we are talking about public speaking, you can't just, take on the role of a one tempo or things like that. You're educating them, you're informing them. Basically, your entire personality should gear up towards communicating it to the best of your ability. So when you are on a public forum, you're communicating, you're doing public speaking to the best of your ability. Okay, let's go ahead. Being a teacher, it's natural to begin any session by giving a little bit of introduction. We'll come to the crux a little later, but we'll go through the introduction. Okay, so what is public speaking? Basically commonly understood as a face-to-face talking single person to a bigger group. It could be college students, it could be children like you, it could be teachers, it could be topic, inspirational, academical, laws, or even elections or whatever. Okay, now public includes an individual addressing a group, either live or via electronic means of communication. Why do I say either live or electronic? Because post-corona, we have all received a blessing that we sit in our place, we go online and we communicate with people. So currently, I am also doing public speaking with you, isn't it? And you are attentively listening to what I've got to say as an audience. So this has also become a platform now for public speaking. So it is no more relegated to a big hall or thousands of people or a big group of us. It has also a forum, and there is a online forum. So when we have public speaking in online mode, there is a speaker, there's a stage, there's a microphone, and there's a large audience. When we are speaking online, there's a speaker, there's an online platform conducting the event. Currently, we have the Daughters of St. Paul, that is our Pauline sisters, are conducting this event. We are having a virtual audience, that is, you are sitting in a place wherever you are attending this session. So what do we need for public speaking? During Corona, this has become very famous. The PPE kits become very famous. Public speaking, we also need a PPE kit. So that's plan, prepare, execute. Okay. So we plan, we need to prepare, and we need to execute. So who's going to tell me? So many of you have given elocution speech. How do you plan, prepare, and execute? Who's going to tell me before I run through it? Who's going to tell me? Annalise, you want to try? How do you plan?
Annalise?
Annalise, you want to try?
No.
Oh,
Second,
Crizel, what about you?
First, you think of a basic idea and you normally write it on a piece of paper. Then you polish it later and prepare cutting it. And then on the main day, you can execute it.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Crizel. Mentioned writing on a piece of paper, reflecting over it, and then giving the presentation. And Crizel, you're right. Okay, so when you have to plan, what we're going to do, we are in school and you have for elocution, what do your teachers do? Teacher will call you, you have a topic, she'll brush your topic. If she's sending you to the competition, will she do with the diction and things like pronunciation? Yes?
Sometimes if we
Yes.
pronounce some words wrong, she'll help us.
Yes, correct. So she does all of that, right? All those things are in that PPE kit that we are talking about. So that's exactly what we are going to right now. Okay. So when we are public speaking, we plan our speech. How do we plan our speech? We study about the occasion. We find out who the audience is, what are their needs, what are their requirements, and how we want to carry it. Whether you want to write some simple tips and expound, whether you want to write word to word and narrate it, or whether you want to use an audio-visual device to navigate. Currently, I'm using a PPT presentation to be very clear to you in order to navigate points to you. So planning is a very important part of your session. You might have seen people in a big platform. Sometimes they carry small cards, you know, and as they're talking, they just shift the cards because those cards will have bit of pointers. They do word to word. Some others, because of a sense of fear, they will keep the entire with them. Some rate it from head to foot. Some will only refer in between. On the other hand, there are some public speakers. They will use a PPT session. If it is a large audience, the session screen will be at the back and they'll keep on talking, looking at the iPad or whatever instrument they are using to communicate. Okay? And how we prepare our speech. Please remember that you don't capture your audience in the first 5 minutes and get them to be attentive. You have lost them. Some are really blessed with the knack of holding the audience. Others need to make efforts to find your strengths and proceed. So not everybody can hold an audience. If you start talking and people are filling around, that means you have lost track. The first 5 minutes are very important. Communicate. You should grab their attention in the first 5 minutes. then they will listen to you. Otherwise, once you start on a boring note, that's it. Okay. And online, danger is even bigger. I do know because I am a teacher and I know how difficult it is for children to pay attention because you have multiple screens on. You are looking at me, but you're looking at something else because another window is open. That's what is happening these days, no? When we have classes, yes or no? Yes. So this is exactly what happens even when we are doing speaking online. So you need to capture your audience attention. Okay. Yes. Let's go ahead. Preparing might also need upgradation and reading. If so, prep thoroughly. Okay. If you're going to use audio visuals, be creative and keep the presentation neat and uncluttered. So why do I say upgradation? I have attended talks by some speakers, you know, being eager to learn. I do sometimes attend certain talks which have a good content. But I realized that this talk was made 10 years back because the examples used are quite, quite ancient. They're not of the present generation. When you do that, you are actually sometimes, boring or giving all repetitively. So which means you need to be prepped up. You need to upgrade yourself. You need to read before you reach out to the audience of the current day. Children, they are very smart. They are one of the sharpest audiences you can get. They will thoroughly question you if you're not upgraded in the field that you're giving a talk in. So you need to be upgraded. On the other hand, your presentation, if you're giving a PPT presentation, how do you prep up? Please keep your slides neat. I sometimes realize that speakers are so anxious to give their the PPT slides are filled with letterings from top to bottom. And the font sizes were around 12 to 14, which is very hurting to the eyes, especially in a large audience in a big hall, and they have to read that much of content. Your slide should not have more than 8 lines, should not have 8 to 9 lines or 8 to 10 lines. And the font should be smaller than 24 or 20 if you are used to making a presentation. I hope I am clear. If who's not following, you can always raise your hand and stop me at any given point, or you can keep for the question and answer session. Now coming to execute. This is one of the most important and frightening things for a public speaker, especially if you're beginning. You need to keep in mind a few things while you're executing a speech. And these are the points that we are going to go through in this public speaking skills. Good articulation, voice modulation, variations and correct pauses, accent, dialect and regionalisms, humor, body language, and facial expressions. So we're going to look quickly one by one at all these points. Okay? What do you mean by articulation? When we talk articulation, it requires that the speaker speaks with proper pronunciation. There should be a logic, You cannot start with a topic from America and then conclude somewhere in Africa, and in between even take a trip to Philippines. Your talk requires it. There should be some consistency. Have a proper introduction, have a proper body, and then have a proper conclusion. Okay. So when you're executing, you see to it, you do it in a very coherent manner. Work on your pronunciation and diction. The words must be articulated well to utter the vowels and consonants clearly using our lips, tongue, palate, and jaws. Okay. Now, sometimes what we are so excited that we go into a public forum. When we are children, we do prep up 3 times more than adults. Actually, children prep up 3 times some of us. You are really very enthusiastic when you have to give a speech, and your teachers are very strict. They get your diction corrected. Sometimes we tend to forget. However, the most important thing to do is, if you're confused about any word and you're not sure of the pronunciation, you dictionary. Today, it's a blessing to have a smartphone because you can even hear how it is pronounced. No, so maybe it's a name from. If you have a man from France, or a lady from France, you know that their names are pronounced differently. Today, you get all the pronunciations on the net. Clarify the pronunciations. Know the difference between the alphabets and the ways they are pronounced, or know the alphabets which are silent. No, HEIR is air, not hair. Okay, we don't call it hair. It's the same ways when you say the V, the W. Usually, when we pronounce V's and the W's, we say V's. That is, you bite and you. But when you say a W, you kiss the lips. W. It's simple logic as that. When you pronounce the words, be very clear. That's when the audience hears it very, very. You need to work quite a bit in getting your diction correct as much as your pronunciation. Mastery over the language you are communicating is a must. Avoid use of jargons and fillers unless you are among locals and the audience understands local jargons. Your target audience must plan, prepare, and execute well based on your audience. There might be some local with slangs or things like that. You know, like let's say if you're from Maharashtra, you might even use a Marathi word in between, and people will understand and they will enjoy the speech. Let's say Tamil Nadu will use a Tamil word in between or a Tamil sentence in between. Is that allowed? Very much allowed, as long as your audience is enthralled, entertained by it, as well as get the information. Whatever you do, but keep in mind which is audience. Let's say you're from Tamil Nadu, but you come to Delhi and suddenly in between you say a sentence in Tamil and the Hindi. They might not follow. Okay. Keep in mind that you are reaching out to an audience. Which audience you're reaching out to. You have to keep your target audience in mind. Or let's say a Hindi person goes to the south and decides to say 2-3 sentences in Hindi, and the audience will keep staring at you. What exactly is this person saying? What is she saying? What did she mutter in between? So you end up attracting people by doing such things. So always bear in mind who your audience is. Some also use fillers. For example, some of us might be prone to saying, okay. I remember when I was in school, one day, one of our teachers, he had this very of filling up with every sentence with fillers. And one day I counted 21 okays in his half an hour class. Okay, so I was a good girl, but I was a little naughty sometimes. So when you're giving a speech, be careful of the that you use. Okay, there's another okay over there. Let's go ahead. Accent, dialect, and regionalisms. Subtleties in the way we pronounce words and phrase our speech within a given language are evident in accents, regional dialects. Accent refers to the degree of prominence of the way are spoken in words, as when someone from Australia says under, whereas we say under. Okay, can you make a difference? So when you're watching American English, they will say, how are you? Or the British English, how are you? But in India, we don't do that. We say, how are you? No, use a natural way of navigating. Be careful. These things do happen. A regionalism is a type of expression when someone says, the dog wants to walk instead of the dog wants to go for a walk. So certain countries, the English might differ, okay? Dialect also creates an important factor when you're communicating. For example, in a place like Pennsylvania, when people say they are going to red up the room, it doesn't mean they're going to put red paint or red lights in the room. It means that they're going to clean the room. So when you're to an audience, be careful of the language you use. See that the audience understands what you speak. If you're in Pennsylvania, you're coming to India, people might not follow. So be conscious try to use a simpler language which is easily, interestingly understandable to all. Okay, most people in India strive for English. I would suggest listen to good speakers, for example, especially if you're giving an English speech. We have good speakers like Shashi Tharoor, Ramchandra Guha. Their speeches are available on YouTube. You must listen to them. The way they pronounce the way they articulate their words, beautiful. Okay, a given audience may be prejudiced against a speaker with an identifiable accent or dialect. Sometimes people are prejudiced by the way they pronounce. They can immediately, oh, this person belongs to that state, and this person belongs to this state. So they start judging. So that is why normally it is to work on your articulation, your pronunciation, and your accent. Coming to a very, very important part, the voice modulation. Voice modulation, pitch variation, correct pauses is very important. It's your ability when your voice modulating, it is ability to control your voice and adjust the pitch, the high and the low, and be able to make be a little more dramatic so that you catch the attention of the audience. A monotonous voice without any voice modulation can easily be distractive. For example, let me read this slide for you in a monotonous voice. Voice modulation, pitch variations, and correct pauses are a must. Voice modulation is your ability to control your voice and adjust the pitch, the highs and the lows, and be able to make it a little more dramatic so that you can catch the attention of the audience. If I read, like, you will be horrified, and I'm sure you will open 5 more online because it's so boring. You can never like that on one tone. You need to articulate. You need to have, when I say something exciting, you show excitement in your voice. Your body language should be excited. Or when I'm talking something sad, there should be sorrow in your body language, and your voice should express that sorrow. Otherwise, it becomes very boring. At least in an audience, they might somehow listen to you, but online people will be put off immediately. So please see that you work on your voice modulation. When you're narrating a story to a child, okay? When you're narrating a story to a child, you need to say, did you look at that picture? There's a big crocodile. So your voice should make that crocodile sound really big. Otherwise, you might say, there's a big, and it may sound very small, okay? So voice modulation is very, very important. Yes. Pitch. One's pitch can play a very important role while delivering a speech. If you are high pitched, keep your pitch a little low to avoid the mic. Or if you're too low, you need to adjust accordingly. You might have seen time when the stage, if you pitch something very natural that you, so some of us are high pitch. So the mic picks up stronger vibrations to the mic, and you will find a shrill sound that comes. And after some time, the sound goes bigger. So when you see that, you know you are naturally loud or you naturally high pitched. Step a little back from the mic. Don't try to yell into the mic, especially when you hear the shrieking sound. Okay? Already catching your vibrations powerfully, despite the fact that you go a step back. But if you're overtly soft and you're with a naturally soft voice, go closer to the mic, because the mic is not able to pick up your vibrations if you stand a little far. Normally, they say, try to kiss the mic with your nose. Normally. That means just keep this much distance to the mic. But too loud, you need to adjust. Or let's say certain words, when we pronounce, we get blows. So when you're saying words. So the best thing to do when you have those blows coming onto the mic is slightly tilt your mouth. You be close to the mic, but slightly tilt your mouth. That way, the blows don't fall very strongly onto the mic. And breath control. powerfully, loudly, and clearly, but avoid yelling or shouting. People are not deaf. You have a mic, they can hear. Voice can create an impact. Yelling, on the other hand, put off people in a few minutes. Avoid arrogant and sarcastic tones while on public platforms. People pick up cues. What do you mean by that? Let's say two people can't get along and you are at a big business meet and there's a large audience. If one is trying to use a sarcastic tone on the mic and carrying a body language that shows sarcasm and attitude, people pick up the cues. And it also shows out into your, what you are inside will automatically, emote itself onto the mic, in your voice, in body language, in your tone, everything. So we need to have a proper breath control. I've already discussed about the and the blows. Let's see the paces. Maintain your pace while speaking. You can't be too fast or too slow. The pace should be just right for the audience to, understand the things well. And if silence is needed, use a silence. What do I mean by pace? Sometimes I see people, they think reading slowly is reading with clarity. But they don't realize that reading slowly sometimes is extremely boring for an audience. So you need to maintain a certain speed. You can't rush as if you have to catch the local train on the Mumbai platform. And you can't be too slow. Today, going to introduce about Sister Michelle, Scott Media College. That's not how you can speak. I'm today going to introduce Sister Michelle from the Scott Media College. I was quick, but at the same time, I was very clear. Your pace is very, very important. Pauses. If you're saying a sad story, and at one point you are emoting and you're choked, allow that silence because people are with you when narrating the story. So that tiny bit of silence can create a great impact and get back. Okay, let's go ahead. I hope you are all with me. Emphasis on words. Certain stress is required on certain words, which draws the immediate attention towards you, and your message can be communicated easily. So let's say you are teaching something or you're giving a public speak on a particular topic which you want to explain. A certain words you will need to stress in order, like now just I said need to stress. So what did I do? I was emphasizing on certain words because I want you to understand that is important. So certain words you are doing or you are trying to tell the audience that sentence, that word is very important and we need to pay attention. Humor. So jokes are very good. Yes, but crack them only if they're getting cracked. Otherwise, don't. They can cause a lot of embarrassment. So when you're, if you want to start a speech with a joke, I have seen some speakers come to the stage. They're so enthusiastic that they come with on a piece of paper and they start narrating that joke and it doesn't crack. And then the people have a deep silence and then they start laughing. Why? Not because of the joke you said, because the joke didn't crack. Use humor, but use it very intelligently. If you're good at it, you use it. Be witty. Witty statements in and make the people giggle. You might, if you know that your joke might not crack, you can always use wit. Wit. We have always heard stories of Birbal and Akbar and Birbal and things like that. And we have Tenali Raman. We have great guys like this. Witty. Sometimes, but if you know how to tell a joke, please say it. It's nothing to kiss an audience, gets the attention as much as a good joke can do. Let's go ahead. Facial expressions and body language. This is something very important on a public platform. People can easily read fear, joy, confidence, preparation from you voice your content, react to it, or fumble over it. A smile can conquer the audience. If you're nervous, people can sense the nervousness in your body. You know, some people, they start perspiring and they remove their hanky in between. Some people's throats get dry and they're prone to drinking a lot of water in between. Some people, they'll fidget while talking, especially children. Children are very innocent. When they go to a stage, they do this. Because in case they forget the sentence, the paper might be in the front, but the hand is not going to pick up the paper, so they start fidgeting. So body language is very important in a crowd. So, it highly enhances how you speak. It expresses joy, and always smile before you begin a talk. Wish people naturally the audience. Nothing like a beautiful smile on the stage, no matter how big the stage is. The best piece of advice about expressions is to make them match your subject. If you're speaking about a serious subject, use a serious facial expression. If you're speaking something funny, go ahead and smile or even laugh. However, a word of caution, you can ruin a serious presentation by laughing during it, and you can ruin a light-hearted speech by not smiling at all. So either which case, there can be a problem. Body language also includes dressing up for the occasion. Preferably be dressed for the occasion. Avoid costumes that will hamper a smooth speech delivery and requires constant adjustment. For example, pulling your shirt, sari pallu, pleats, dress, whatever it is. When you're on a common big platform, you do that. You can't, let's say you have dressed up in a sari for the first, second, or third time. You keep adjusting during the talk. It's very distracting. Pin it nicely and sit down comfortably. Yes? Or let's say you have to give a speech. Wear something that you can easily carry or handle. Avoid any disruptive things that can distract people from speech to your movements with your dress. So if you know that you have a cold or something like that, please take medication. Yes, so that you're well prepared for the talk. You might end up blowing your nose in front of hundreds of people. Is that wrong? Not wrong. It doesn't sound nice. So avoid biting off lips, smacking your nose, brushing of your hair continuously. Another habit exhibit nervousness. Avoid clinging to the podium if you can't, as if you can't stand without its support. People, when they go to give a speech, they're so nervous that they cling to the podium with both the hands as if it's going to fall or you are going to fall and you need the support. No, don't do that. Just play naturally, keep the paper, smooth body language, or give you. But out of nervousness, sometimes people holding the front of the podium and it's tight. The podium is not going to fall. Not going to fall. The fear is inside you, but there are certain body language, the certain bodily languages that we exhibit. We will tell the whole world, I am giving my speech for the first time, please help me. You are doing this and you're doing that. So, so it might create, it actually gives out certain signs that you're not on what you're talking about. Gestures are normal. Some use a lot of them, but use the right gestures. When using certain finger movements, you need to be aware. Now, for me, gesturing comes naturally. I will move my hands, I'll be moving my head, I'll be using my tones, I'll be doing all of that because I realize that helps me to. But when you're using certain, Judith, can you please mute your system, Judith? Thank you. Yes. So when coming to gesturing, use your gestures. But when you're using, for example, when I do this, what does it mean?
Thumbs
What
up.
does it mean?
Thumbs up.
Yes.
Yes.
What does thumbs up mean?
All the best.
All the best. And
It's okay.
it's okay.
So,
What about YouTube language? What do you mean by this?
like,
You see how many interpreters gave me of this one symbol?
yes.
So that when you use symbols, be careful. You know what you're using it for, or what you're communicating to the audience about when you use certain symbols or certain gestures. They mean different things to different people. That was a small example of a gesture. Use the correct gesture. In some countries, this might be something not very pleasing to the audience. It might have a bad meaning or a disrespectful meaning, and you can't use it in public platforms. Use gestures common like hand movements, but avoid certain gestures if you're going to a big audience or an international audience. Avoid gestures which might mean different in different countries. Okay, eye contact. Eye contact is very important, especially while giving a talk. Looking at the people is very important. Some people give you simple tips, and mind you, these might not be correct. People tell you, look at the heads. When you're giving a speech, they'll tell you, if you're nervous, don't look at the people in the eyes, look above their heads. I personally would tell you that when I sit in an audience and I find a speaker looking above my head, I immediately know that the speaker is frightened. So looking above the head is not a good solution. I tell you, look at 2 or 3 people whom you know in the audience. Look at them and talk to deal with your fear. But after some time, when you look at 3 people and maybe if they're not your family members, make them cringe in their seat. You will feel, the speakers looking at me every now and then. So suddenly, part of the audience will put their head down and sit. Because every time you look up, that speaker is looking at you. So you need to learn to look at people. It comes. I know you might be frightened for the first time, the second time, but it naturally comes to you gradually. Okay, so eye contact is very important. Yes, if one is accessing a computer for online talks, one look and emote in the lens. Okay, so let's say if they invite you for a TV show, they will always say, look at the lens and talk. So the people feel that you're looking at them and talking. So don't, let's say, take a paper in the hand and read, and people are that you're reading when you're doing public speaking. So try to look up, be confident. You need to read your speech at least 10 to 15 times. Be thorough. Practice before the mirror, practice on your system, practice walking up and down. Even if you have to do an online delivery, so that it is in your system and it comes out naturally. Avoid doing anything online that disrupts attention. I remember there was one of the talks that I was attending. There was this guy sitting, and he was constantly fidgeting, right, left to right, and in between, even his nose could be very distractive, very, very distractive. Yes. So the eye contact is lost. The audience will do all these things. So please look at your audience. Okay. Please look at your audience and keep them engrossed. They start fidgeting. If they don't look at you anymore, that means they are not enthralled, and that means your speech has turned into a boring set of words. Time management. Keep your time. Okay. Keep your time. Anchors have a script broad. That is, if you're on TV, they will always have a script they can keep to the time. But if you're called for public speaking, you have turned into a big politician or an educationist. keep to your time. Strictly avoid blabbering for long. Some people, as if their helicopter is not landing at all. Please don't do that. Have very systematic words. Avoid circling the same topic just because you like it. Have a properly prepared introduction, give a good body to the speech, and then a quick conclusion and within been given to you. You should have the intelligence to turn a boring script into a powerful one, in case it has been written by your office or staff member and handed over. Or in your case, children, somebody might write this speech for you. Maybe your friend wrote the speech for you and is not able to deliver it at the moment and tells you, please participate on my behalf. You don't kind of like the speech because it is a bit boring, but make the boring speech exciting with your voice, with your pitch, your vision, your body language, with confidence, relate to the people and make that boring filled with life. Okay? Avoid conceived bias about your audience. Never underestimate your audience. Don't say, oh, I'm going to these people. I don't know, no worries, no tension. Never do that. Always be prepared. Always be prepared. Find out when you're planning your preparation, please find out about your audience. Remember, I mentioned this point to you. Find out about your audience. Who is your audience? If you're going to talk to children, you have to speak to children like you're going to address children. The tone differs when you go to adults or grown-ups. Okay? So your audience matters very much. Please do not underestimate your audience at any given point of time or have a bias. Language bias, religion bias, state bias, country bias. Avoid bias of any kind when you go to an audience. To grow people's skills, to keep the audience attentive. Outstanding writing skills for a good script. Be camera friendly. Avoid fidgeting behaviors. Have incredible stamina. Be sufficiently hydrated. When you're nervous, there is a tendency that your throats get dry. Okay? So especially if you're online, do keep a 2-liter jar next to you and try to drink it in between. No, don't do that. Okay? Because out of nervous, even spill it. Always keep a small, let's say, a glass of water to maybe a glass of water like this of this size, and take a gentle sip. Don't gulp it. And people can hear. Don't do that. Okay, that's not admirable at all. Just in case your voice dries. Otherwise, not recommended. So drink in water. Be hydrated. Yes. Say, but sister, sometimes when I'm tense, no, I feel like going to the loo again and again. Yes, it is understandable. It's very natural. Part of the preparatory process when you're entering into public speaking. People do, undergo these issues. But after 2 or 3 speeches, you will be normalized. Once you get used to, giving such things, you will be fine. Okay. This is a very important in public speaking, fear. And this is something many of us want public speaking. Many of us want to go for elocutions. Many of us want to, stand in front of people and, communicate naturally. But the moment I get a turn, they say, no, I can't. Why? Because fear grips me. Rest, everything can happen. Planning, preparing, everything. You're fully ready. You have prepared your body language, everything. But at the end moment, you get jitters. Now, you tell me, sister, is there a medication for this? No medication for this. This only requires you and your courage. So even if you're nervous, take the challenge. The first time you might be frightened. Second, which you have and kept, word to word, and you might watch up a little bit. It might not be expressive. No problem. You don't have to, be frightened. Oh, this is the end. And dead end. I have destroyed my speech. I've destroyed my speech, and nobody will call me again. Don't, no children. Don't have that. You're still very young, and there's a big, beautiful life ahead of you. You're nervous. Don't worry. The next time, be a little more prepared, but never say no. If you get a chance to give a speech again, take it up. When you give 2, 3, 4 speeches, you learn to work on your body language, to work on your looks, you learn to work on the little nitty-gritties that are involved around you, and deal with your fear. Out of fear, especially when you're online, sometimes we forget we are online. And chatting, doing things which we think nobody's looking at us. But if you are on a window screen, all the windows are open, and it can be very destructive to people. So if you know that a speaker is, suddenly, somebody comes to you and starts chitty-chatting in between your speech, not aware that you're on an online platform, kindly switch your video screen immediately and mute yourself. Tell the person to leave, and tell him you will talk to the person after the talk is over. Do not keep your screen, mic, everything on. Be a little conscious of things like that. And it should be fine, because I don't think other things actually matter. Just see that you are a bit more systematic and work on your fear element. It will all be well. And in fact, online talks and presentations are the best way to overcome your fear. It gives you a lot of ways to reach out to the people. And we have come to the concluding slide. Thank you. I hope those tips have been useful to you. So if you want to enter public speaking, remember the PPE kit: plan, prepare, and execute. All the best.
Thank you, sister.
Now it's time for questions. And thank you, Michelle. In short, there'll be a little more extended thank you later. But I now invite all of you to ask questions which you have been wanting to ask about public speaking. You can unmute whenever you want. Come. I can see many of the cameras, self views off. Does it mean you are not there, or are you there? Okay, those of you who can hear me, you can even comment anything which you want to say to Sister Michelle. Most welcome. Some appreciation.
Sister.
Yeah, good, Catherine. Come on.
Sister, I have a doubt. How we should, according to the age wise, to an adult or a child, how we should speak?
Catherine, my dear, let's say you've been invited to a school, okay? And the talk is to 6-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. So, Catherine, if you talk like you're talking right now with me, let's say I ask you to give a speech to us grown-ups, no? Will you do the same way with 6-year-old? No, right? What will you do for a 6-year-old? How will the language be?
Playful.
Yes, correct. Playful, simple, simple words. Because children use very simple language. They understand a sentence in the construction that it is. We might understand phrases, but children don't understand phrases, no? So let's say you are going to tell them something about manners, okay? If you tell them, like I gave a small little PPT and a presentation and all of that, just 2 sentences later, they will start running around, they will start eating something, they will start playing with their friend in the classroom. But on the other hand, If you enter the children's classroom and start telling them a story about manners, like as I just entered, I saw a story, a cartoon story that was going on that was made. No, so something like that, and use a simple language, you will immediately get to a. But now, if you go to an adult crowd, use the same story, will it work? No, it won't work, right? So you need to use the language meant for grown-ups, for the grown-ups. You need to, communicate accordingly. And let's say, rarely, sometimes it does happen, like you're called to an audience where there are children and where there are grown-ups. So that's where the tension comes, and you need to be very creative. Please remember that storytelling is an art. And stories, both children and even adults like. When you have an adult audience, the way you narrate a story, the adults will join in. They will also laugh. I see them laughing and understanding the story, join in. Actually, in between, you can give some content for the adults. Try to keep this audience and get the message across. There's nothing like a beautiful communicator communicating smoothly. Show nervousness and you start sweating, then comes the problem. It can happen, nervousness can happen in the first stages. Like, let's say you are told you prepare a speech for adults and you go somewhere and you realize that it's not adults, it's youth. It's just a matter of working on the mastery of your language and changing the language to adjust to youth. If it's children, you adjust it to children. But prepare well for any subject. You can cater to any audience when you're called on this topic. Did I answer you, Catherine?
Yes, sister. Thank you, sister.
Yeah.
Sister, I liked your talk.
Oh, thank you.
I invite Sister Rekha to thank our dear Sister Michelle.
Sister Michelle, very first to say is a thank you. It was really, really 1 hour without shifting our eyes. We were able to see you, the right persons invited, give a talk on tips on public speaking. I could see them all in the screen, cited each word when you say. So thank you very much, Michelle. And the way you put it very clear and very simple for the students to understand, because it's a students platform. So I want to thank you very much. And today, out of your busy schedule, you have taken your time. All of you know, right? Sister Michelle is teaching in the college. Yes, but for your sake, Sister Michelle has accepted this, has given us a very good information about tips on public speaking. And the way each topic or the content, when you express actually your language, your own voice modulations, the best example we could take in for our public speaking next time. Thank you very much, sister. Whatever you say, even to the point of it exactly on time, that's one of the best part of the program. So thank you very much, sister. We're really happy to have you today, this evening with us. So adding to Sister Michelle, Sister Michelle talking, already you all have this book, right? Tips on Public Speaking. All of you have it, right? See my screen? Oh, yeah. So now we have some other books as well. This guide to public speaking. Whatever Sister Michelle has spoken, if you have taken down points, or we will be uploading this video in YouTube, you can watch. Or if you like, you can have this book. You can have this book. You can refer to your friends, especially your parents also, like they like to talk to the larger audience. You can promote, you can tell about this, okay? And some last week I already told you mathematical formulas, and I think some students took. Those of you find it helpful, you can go into the same site of PaulineIndia.org or Amazon.in, whichever site you feel comfortable, you can order those books. So today, once again, Very big thank you to Sister Michelle, and happy to see you on the screen. Really, really very happy. Okay, I am sure all students also enjoyed.
Thank you. Thank you, Rekha. Happy to see you too after a long time.
Yes, sister.
Yes, thank you, Sister Michelle, and thank you, Rekha, for thanking Sister Michelle. So, Sister Michelle, please stay with us till the end, even though the talk is over. We'll be happy if you stay along with us till the end of this, just another few minutes, we will. So, my dear children, and we want to tell you, remember on the WhatsApp, we said there's a surprise. And last time I told you there's going to be a surprise. So the surprise, we already opened it on WhatsApp saying that there's going to be a competition. Now, all of you unmute fast. Yes, and tell me, what was that surprise? Did you see the WhatsApp message? Come on, unmute and tell me.
Competition. The competition.
Okay,
The
Crizel
competition
said
about
competition.
the
Krizan
skill
said.
integration.
Who else said? Okay. Okay, fine. Now, Crizel and Krizan were the first to answer. I heard you all the first. Tell me, what is the competition about?
Skill integration.
What's the title of the competition?
The skill
10 years into the
Judith,
skill
who's saying?
integration.
Who's talking? Krizan, say.
10 years into the skill integration.
There's a. I gave a title to the competition. What was
my
it?
skill integration.
That's not a. That's not all. There was a catchy phrase. No? Oh, I think mummy is reading all the WhatsApps, or daddy. Correct? Grizel?
Yes.
You're on screen, so you have your mobile with you on the side, right?
No.
No, you're on the mobile only.
No.
Okay, check the mobile then and tell me. Okay, all of you, open your mobiles if you have.
Fast
if you're not a
forward 10 years, my skill integration.
Very good, Catherine. Repeat it.
Fast
Catherine.
forward 10 years, my skill integration.
Very good. So fast forward and my skills integration. So fast forward life, if I said. So what's the meaning of that? It means, if those of you who are not used to the word fast forward, this fast forward, I want to tell you it is a word of a little bit generation, maybe 5 or 6 years before you. So, but it was used very commonly if you're talking about going ahead, much ahead. You press a fast forward button. Now on the social media, there's no fast forward button. You just swipe. So I should have said swipe life, right? I should have said swipe life 10 years from now. So the competition is, you have been doing the skills. You have 4 skills already. And there's one more skill left on positivity on 19th. So the competition will definitely be after that. No? And so fast forward life or swipe ahead life with these skills. What the competition is, you have to tell me 10 years from now, what skills, how you are going to put the skills into practice. Okay, now don't choose all 5 skills. It's going to be so difficult. Choose 2 of your favorite skills, or 2 of the skills which you think you have a stronghold on. Now you'll be having 5 skills by the end of this month. Choose 2 skills or even 3 skills and work on those. Watch the videos again and see what is there, what you have missed. But the catch is here. You cannot give a long speech of 2 hours. Okay, the speech which you have to prepare is in 2 groups. You can participate in both the groups. The first group is Insta. Okay, it has to be only 60 seconds. Look at Catherine. Her eyes are popping out. Catherine, don't worry, it's possible. Okay, so first competition, the first group of the competition is your swipe ahead 10 years from now integration skills for Instagram. 60 seconds. In 60 seconds, you got to tell me what you're going to do with those 2 skills. The second group is Twitter. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. That is a little better, right? 2 minutes and 20 seconds. At least I can say something. I can put together something. But it's your choice. You can participate in both. You can participate in Insta 60 seconds, or you can participate in the Twitter of 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And you let me know which group you belong to, or in both the groups. Fine. And Sister Rekha, myself, and Alzira, we will decide on what is the date, or the date for this program. Do you agree with me? This is a good competition for you to recapture all that you have learned. So are you going to take part? All of you unmute and tell me.
Yes.
Unmute,
Sister,
all of you.
Yes, sister.
Yeah, some of you are not on camera and you are not there, I know. So you're going to be marked absent. So very good. Annalise, Catherine, Crizel Crizel is there. Crisan, Judith, Caitlin, Unnati, Chris, Asher are all there. At the end of this week, at least, you should at least see this video again, and then get prepared. Start getting prepared for the competition. Most probably the competition will be sometime first week of December. Yeah. So you have time to prepare, to make it short. Remember what Sister Michelle said, and keep in mind all those tips on public speaking. Okay. Otherwise, what is the use? So all those things which Sister Michelle said, you have to keep in mind. So you have to keep on repeating it at least 15-20 times and say it by heart. Okay. So we can, don't worry, the judges can make out if you're reading it from the screen. Okay. So do it very well. It's not very long. It's just 60 seconds, or it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Who knows if we will be calling Michelle as one of the judges? Let's see with her schedule. We can see in the future. Okay, friends. So with that, Sister Rekha, myself, and Mrs. Alzira, we will say goodbye to you. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sister Michelle, for being part of this program. And thank you, Alzira, for giving us an introduction on Michelle, who's our dear sister. With this, I'll say goodbye. And if any one of you wants to say anything, you have the next few seconds. Otherwise, we shall say ciao. Okay, then. Bye-bye. Thank you, and see you on 19th for the next program by Sister Shushma on positivity in life. Okay, see that you read the book. You can read the two. Some of you have Life is Beautiful, and some of you have A Better Way to Think. Yes, that's it. So read up those books so you get an idea of what Sister Sushma is going to talk about, and you can become more positive in life. Bye.